So, I'm Paul Mauricio Pangko, ENG157 student from the UP Open University. All right, and with me today I have Mrs. Maria Patricia Supangco, AB Psychology graduate from UP Diliman, and currently the head of Partnership and Resource Development Office in Lasal Green Hills. We also have Keith Xavier Sazon, a third-year AB Psychology student from Ateneo de Manila University. Last but not least, we also have Maria Alexandra Supangco, a grade 12 senior high school student from LaSalle College, Antipolo. So before we start, just to confirm, is this the first time that you'll be seeing this presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So as you can see on the screen, we're actually going to be talking about tips to ace your job interview. So first off, did you know that there are actually around 250 people who try to apply for a job or pass a resume, but only 4 to 6 of these will be interviewed, and of course, only one will get that job offer. What we want to find out right now is what it takes for you to be that one person who will hopefully be able to get your dream job. Okay. So for today's discussion, we'll be discussing three things. First is the preparation phase. We'll be talking about interview strategies and interview attire. During the interview itself, we'll also be talking about the interview flow and the common questions that will be asked during an interview. And also after the interview, there are also some tips that you might want to take note of. Okay. So preparing for the interview. For me, this is one of the most important parts because you have to know three things. First of are your strengths. So in order to prepare for a job interview, you have to be ready to answer questions pertaining to what are the things that you can contribute to the company and what are the things that you can bring to the table. But that aside, of course, we also have our own weaknesses, and these weaknesses have to be identified as something which we can actually address or a skill that we can actually learn if it's something lacking. Third is something that will allow you to share how much you are interested in applying for that job. It's called job knowledge, and it will um, allow you to research about the company that you're applying for, the job description, and also what are the skills and the attitudes that you need to have in order to land that job. Okay, so once you're prepared with all these three things, next is to prepare your interview attire. So yeah, these days we have to make sure that when we head into the office for the interview, we are ready and we are prepared to go out there and make an impression by showing them what we wear. So it's very important for us to be very professional and comfortable with what we're wearing. At the same time, we have to make sure that we're wearing something clean and our look is also clean so that the people we'll be meeting will see us in a very professional manner. Okay. So during the interview itself, we've actually identified that there are actually three parts of an interview. So there is what we call an opening. During this part of the interview, the interviewer will give you an idea on what's about to happen, how the interview is going to be conducted, and they'll try to set the atmosphere to make sure that you are comfortable and that you'll be able to open up. After that, what's important from there is you watch out for key points, like if they mention the format of the interview, if it'll be a panel or a group interview. That's one thing to take note of. Next is also the body of the interview. So this is usually the longest part of the interview. So it's nice that you use your time wisely and think before you respond. It's also good for us to listen very attentively to the questions and give a little bit of time if ever you're not yet sure of your answers. So compose what you have to say before you actually say it. Last but not least are closing. So usually it will be the interviewer who will give us some tips or give us the next steps or actions after the interview that we had. So if there's a second interview that's going to be happening, or if there's going to be an assessment after your first interview, then you have to take note of those things. And also if it's only just one interview and they will inform you through a call or an email or an SMS on the results of the interview. that has to be there. Lastly, after the interview, you have to make a really, really good impression. So highlight the good points. Try to overcome any bad impressions that you may have made by clearing it out through the interviewer. If you took note of company jargon, the values of the company, it's good to also identify and mention those. And then also, always look eager and pray and be positive on the next steps. Okay, so that's about it for me. I'm opening the floor for any of your questions or comments or reactions.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Normally, this is Trixie Supanco, Maria Patricia Supanco. Um, on the average, usually, how long would the interview proper take so that I would be able to also know if, I'm giving too many answers or too short answers to the interviewer?
Sure. So on an average, the interview proper takes about 30 to 40 minutes, but it still depends. And I guess it's just important for you. There's no time limit to those job interviews. The flow of the discussion will actually be coming from you. So if my only tip there is try to answer any questions that you may have in your mind already when you're on the interview. For example, if the interviewer asks you about your skills, don't just give them a one-liner. Try to give them more details about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a
Any other?
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so again, I am Keith Xavier Saza, and my question is: I noticed that some people, if not a lot of people, have trouble identifying their weaknesses, and they sort of give answers that still make them look good. For example, I'm a workaholic, or um, I focus too much on my work, and stuff like that. Stuff that make them still make them look good. So, what impression does this give on the interviewer, and how can they better identify their true weaknesses?
Okay, thank you. Very good question, Keith. So, personally, that those are some things that are quite challenging because, from your perspective, of course, what you would normally see are the things that you think are good about yourself, and naturally, a person would try to identify with those things. So, what I think is a good suggestion would be to try and ask someone you've either worked with or someone that
Mhm.
you've had uh, close working relationship with on what are the things that they've noticed that that they think that you could improve on. It's a good source of that kind of information. At the same time, it's going to be unbiased, and the next
Mhm.
time that you present it to someone who's to the interviewer, you actually already have like an experience at the back of your mind, and along with it an action plan, or your plans on how you're going to overcome or try to go to be better at that kind of opportunity that you have.
All right, thank you.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question.
Yeah, go.
Yes, I'm Alex Sabanco, and the question is, what if you're not fluent in English? Should you still push through the interview in English, or can you switch throughout the interview into the language you're most comfortable with?
Okay, very good question. So, like what we mentioned on the first part of the presentation, it's very important for you to know the background of the company that you're applying for. So that would really depend on the company and what position you're applying for. Of course, if you're applying for a communications job, then that would mean that you had to speak fluent English throughout. Um, with regards to trying to switch to another language, my suggestion would be to try and be consistent. If you started out with English, then you have to finish in English. But if the interviewer actually at the onset already tried speaking with you in the vernacular, and you're not really applying for a job that would require you to speak fluent English, then go with something that's more comfortable to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. If do we have any other questions or comments aside from those?
I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I heard that some interviewers ask you to ask them questions. So any tips? Any tips for these?
Oh yeah. So I've actually spoken with some friends who work in recruitment, and they
Mm-hmm.
actually, those are actually real questions. I mean, they ask that not just to lay it on the table, but they actually want to know if you have any questions about, or if you want to
Mm-hmm.
get feedback, immediate feedback during that conversation. Those are actually some things that you could ask. Or if they were not able to provide you with a specific time frame, you can actually ask them how soon, or how long do I have to wait to get the results of the interview and things like that, or what are the
Mm-hmm.
next steps in case it wasn't discussed. And that question's really there just to make sure that if you still have any questions at the back of your mind, or if you want to get a bit of feel on how you went during the interview, that's actually a good opportunity to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess yeah, this wraps it up. So thank you so much for all for your time, and I'm really happy that we had this presentation. And at the same time, I just want to thank you for taking time despite the conditions now. So take care and always stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.